us with your questions at 731-1230. Now, here again, your host, Paul Montelongo.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Welcome back, Paul Montelongo, Get a Grip Business Radio here at KLAV, Talk of Las Vegas, AM 1230. I am your serial entrepreneur host, Paul Montelongo. You can follow the show at paulmontelongolive.com, live streaming as we speak right now in the studio. With me is my guest co-host, Heather, and also our guest, Steve G. Jones, Master of Influence and clinical hypnotherapist. I'm going to get that word right.
We'll have it soon enough.
You know, before we continue, I want to go back to a couple of these myths about sales. We'll get your feedback on that. One of the myths about sales is that it's a numbers game. Now, the reality of it is, yeah, it takes numbers. It is a numbers game in terms of you have to meet numbers, set sales projections, call a certain number of people, reach out to a certain number of people.
400 no's to get a yes.
If that's the number.
Write that down.
You know what? That's a really great point. How many no's does it take to get a yes?
It's so multifactorial. It'd be difficult to calculate per person, per situation, per sales call. Have they had coffee yet? You know, are they in a good mood? Who are they talking to?
Key sales question. Hello, have you had coffee yet?
No? Click. You're going to cause my no ratio.
Right. But it is a numbers game in terms of, you know, we have to make a certain number of calls. But it's not a numbers game in the sense that you have to have a lot of contacts to make sales. Because if you're methodical about your sales, if you're on the right path, if you're building the rapport like we've discussed, if you're calling warm clients, if you have a great sales proposition, then those, quote, numbers, they reduce and your efforts are more direct, your efforts are more fruitful because you're doing the right things at the right time with the right people.
So you're saying it's about quality over quantity.
That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
That's right. Quality over quantity. All right. The other myth is that we come across is that sales has its inevitable or unavoidable ups and downs. And sales is subject to the economy, and sales is subject to the time of year, and sales is subject to
location,
or whether someone had coffee or not. All right.
So, I do better with coffee, just personally.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
But sales can be up and down, but you don't have to be subject to the up and downs.
Right.
Again, if you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing, making your regular phone calls, building the relationships, establishing the rapport, giving people something of value. So where I'm going with this is with the science of influence, like we've been discussing, this is all a mindset. Sales is a really big mindset. If I go into a sales environment saying, I hope they have their coffee, or
you don't want them to have had coffee.
Right. Or
you have the coffee.
Or I'm only on call number 12. I've got 18 more calls to go before
Right.
I say, before they hear a yes, right?
Negative mindset.
Right, the negative mindset.
You
right?
killed it before it even started if you go in that.
Exactly. So then from that perspective, it's not an up and down game. It's a consistent game based on our thinking. Having said that, with the science of influence, how do we train ourselves to have that consistent, methodical thinking about our success and our level of success through the quote-unquote ups and downs?
Well, that's where hypnosis comes in, and that's where programming yourself comes in, and realizing that it's not all about the other person and what you can throw at them and how you can manipulate them or anything like that. A lot of it is about programming yourself for success, using hypnosis recordings, for example. You can make your own hypnosis recording and program yourself for success. You can get hypnosis recordings. You can work with a hypnotherapist. You can do something as simple as writing affirmations. People make fun of affirmations. You know, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me from Saturday Night Live. But it's
Stuart Smalley.
Exactly. But the truth is affirmations do work, despite the fact that it's kind of funny. So you can write them. You can take a black Sharpie, that's what I do, and write them on your bathroom mirror. So at least you see them before you go to bed, and in the morning you see them. Write 3 affirmations. Write them as if they've already happened, and write them very positively. And what you're going to find is that just like a song that you may not like gets stuck in your head, those affirmations get stuck in your head, and they're there for you at key clutch moments. So if you don't want to go through the effort of using hypnosis recordings, at least have exposure regularly to affirmations.
But what happens when, you know, sometimes you'll have an affirmation like, I'm a great salesperson, and then your ego kicks in and says, no, you're not.
Right.
And then you got two voices in your head.
Right. And when I work with clients, I usually find in about week 3, they're sabotaging themselves. So it's weight loss, building sales, and anything where their confidence is being built up. About week 3, they sabotage themselves. And that's because of a deep-seated belief that they're not worthy. They're not good enough. They do deserve not good things, and they don't deserve the good things. So
And that's a whole different issue.
that gets a little deeper, and that you may want
But you
to
can
work
coach
with.
somebody through that?
Yes, absolutely. I'm used to that. I expect it actually in week 3. I look for it. And usually if I'm working with someone on weight loss, they'll start binge eating in week 3. And that's great because we get it all out. If I'm working with someone on building wealth, they'll gamble a lot of money away in week 3. It's very predictable.
Wow.
And the reason is their subconscious mind is kicking in because they're not comfortable with a lot of money. They're not comfortable with the attention they get with losing weight. They're not comfortable with whatever success that they're moving toward. They know that can lead to negative attention.
They have
and
to get back
pain.
in their comfort zone.
Right, so they don't get hurt.
Right.
And so that's something that I would work with a hypnotherapist on. It's a little deeper than that.
If someone wants to record their own hypnotherapy,
Hey, wow.
Recording.
Nicely done.
if somebody wants to record themselves, is what you're suggesting, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
that created their own tape or their own CD, right?
Right.
How does that happen? It's like, because as far as I know, there are a lot of people that don't really like the sound of their own voice.
Well, if you don't like your own voice, don't do it. Just buy there's so many hypnosis recordings online. In addition to mine, there are just tons of them out there that you can use by professionals. But if you like your own voice or don't mind it, it's great because you can put your own information on that. And the way you do that is with a 5-part process. First, you do the induction, talk for about 10 minutes about something you enjoy, walking along the beach, and involve all the senses, something to see, something to smell, you feel the sand and so forth. Just talk about something you like doing for 10 minutes. Not anything exciting, just something that's relaxing and beautiful. Then the deepening, where you count backwards from 10 to 1, and maybe the sun setting as you're counting backwards. And then I'm hypnotizing you right now, by the way. You notice my voice is changing, Paul. And then you write me
I
a
feel
check.
my pulse and my neck going crazy too.
Very nicely done. Okay, so then then the script comes. That's where you're programming yourself for change. You've got all the items, all the action items that you want to change about yourself, and you're putting them in there, and you're adding them at the script part. Then comes amnesia, and you may think, why would we want to forget the good things we've done? The reason that you add a part about you forgetting the hypnosis session is that so hopefully you don't overanalyze it in the daytime like we're talking about
Yeah.
and sabotage it. Then comes transtermination, where you either tell yourself to wake up. It's not as scary as it sounds. You either tell yourself to wake up, 1, 2, 3, wake up, or you tell yourself to go to sleep and wake up in the morning, depending on whether you're making a daytime recording or a nighttime use recording that's going to put you to sleep and allow you to rest.
Okay, that is fantastic. I'm going to ask you something here off the cuff here, and those 5 steps, I'd like to have those captured somewhere for our listeners.
Absolutely.
So after the show, will you make sure that that's available on paulmontalongo.com? I mean, give it to me or our social media team.
I will, absolutely.
And so that all of our listeners can access that, because what you just said there, I think is like that's crucial. Like that's very, very valuable. The way that we program ourselves
Yeah.
for success, because we are programmed.
Yeah.
Is this correct? We are
We are.
programmed one way or the other.
Whether we like it or not, we're programmed with what to wear, what to drive, how much we're worth, who we're supposed to be with, all that stuff.
Okay, right.
And you can change it.
So if we're gonna be programmed, may as well program
something
ourselves for
cool,
success.
something fun,
Cool.
something
Yeah.
you like. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that a lot. All right, so let's go back to this negotiation, these meetings that we're in, a sales call, a negotiation, some kind of crucial meeting that we're determining we want good results from. Okay, somebody's on the other side of the table. How do we determine if they're lying to us?
Okay.
Because I've just heard, I'm just saying that there are people out there in the world that will lie to you in a sales
What?
environment.
Paul, this is groundbreaking. What?
Yes, I read it somewhere on the internet that somebody might
internet.
lie to you in a sales environment. Okay, so how do we know if that person on the other side of the table is being truthful with us or not?
Okay. Great question. And this technology that I'm about to share is actually taught at the law enforcement training centers of the United States, and realize that federal law enforcement, and realize that there are about 90 different agencies. You get the FBI, CIA, plus a lot more you've probably never heard of. They are all trained with this technology that I'm about to share. I didn't create it. It's from neurolinguistic programming. But if they believe it, if the federal government believes in it and teaches it, it's what the agents are using, then I think it's worthy of learning. And it's very simple. You're looking at someone's eyes and which way they're looking when you're talking with them. So we know from research and experience that when someone is looking to the upper right, that means that they are creating something visual. So if I were to ask someone to think about what the Statue of Liberty looks like with a pink dress on, the Statue of Liberty doesn't have a pink dress. They would have to create that in their
I
minds.
just looked up to the right.
Okay, there you go.
And you saw a pink dress.
I did. I saw her
On the
green
Statue
with a
of
pink
Liberty.
dress.
Sorry to put that image in your mind. It could have been a lot worse, though. All right. So that means they're creating something visual. They don't have a reference for that. They've got to create it in their minds.
Is that a positive or negative visual image? If I'm looking up to the right,
Depends what you think about.
It's neutral. It's neutral. So far, everything's neutral.
Okay.
I'll explain how it gets positive or negative soon. That's a great
right.
question. Now, if I ask you to remember something that you have actually seen, you will look up and to the left because you will be remembering something visual. So up and to the right is creating something. Up and to the left is remembering something. Same with auditory. If I ask you to remember something you've heard, then you will look straight over to your left. If you're creating something that you haven't heard, like the Rolling Stones singing a Madonna song, for example, you will look off to the right, straight off to the right. So now I can ask you questions. Where were you on the night of the 14th? You know, what did you see? Well, if you're looking up and to your right, you're creating it. You're creating something that you didn't actually see.
Wow.
You know, what did you hear that night? If you look over and to the left, I know you're remembering something that you heard. If you look over and to the right, you're creating something that didn't happen.
fascinating.
Wow.
Yep.
So when we're in that negotiation or in that meeting and we're paying attention to the eye movement
Watch
of
where
the
they
other
go.
person, we can tell creating a story, maybe lying to me,
Right.
or being factual. They're telling me the truth in this particular question or scenario.
Yes, and the only caveat is some people are oppositely oriented, so you have to go ahead and test ahead of time. Go ahead and make sure it's calibrated. Ask them questions you know the answer to, and look for where their eyes are going. Once you have that set, then you can start asking questions. Where were you on the night of the 14th? Or what are the contents of this contract? What
And
is-
law enforcement uses this all the time.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're ever in a situation where federal law enforcement asks you a question, just look straight ahead.
Have a poker face, poker eyes.
Or wear shades. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They won't let you wear
Right.
shades.
He's Steve G. Jones. She's Heather Vale Goss. I'm Paul Montalongo. This is the Paul Montalongo Get a Grip Business Radio Show. When we come back, we're going to talk about whether or not this science of influence and this hypnotherapy sticks. We're also going to talk about a little bit more about business, and also we'll have our segment on I'm Sexy and I Know It. We'll be right back.
Woohoo!
Intriguing.